got a canopy back right here. My idea is I need 19.5 inches, so I'm going to cut it at 20 and then fold the end over to create a seal on the bottom. And I'm going to cut it the rest of the way out here and then down, and that'll be my window area. There's the old door right here. I have the keys to the lock, so maybe I can get away with using it. Some genius put foam on the inside, which is just great. So I'm gonna cut it and let's see how this goes. I'm thinking before I cut this bottom part out of it, make it all floppy, I'm gonna put some structure back into it before I do. So I'm gonna lop off this bottom piece right here and I'm gonna weld it as best as I can with what I have right there to the top. And that'll be the new bottom of it. So I'll be keeping, I'm trying to keep as much of the original metal as possible because it's got that pattern that's hard to replicate. Got some nice character there, kind of like that. So yeah, okay, this should give it a little bit better idea of what I'm doing. So I cut this bar out of here and I slid it up on this to 19.5, and then this, I'll lop it off there and I'll fold that over for the bottom layer. For the window, I think I'm just gonna leave it open like this for now, but eventually the plan is that I'm gonna obviously cut that out so I have a little bit more visibility, and then I'll be left with these two pieces of metal that match it, so I can make patches or I can make window covers or whatever I want to with those. But I think I'm gonna try to use these hinges as well, probably just get new ones actually. And I'm gonna hang the whole thing on this. This is meant to have the tailgate off and you're just hanging on, and then it has the door that opens. I'm just gonna hang it on, put a pin in the bottom to lock it, and then the door will be in this outer piece, because without this piece, the canopy is a 1/2 inch short, and this is what makes up the rest of the canopy. So I'll get to welding it, or figure out if I can weld it. I don't know how I'll do that, but we'll see. Okay, I've now got that welded. It's all right. I couldn't really get the corners too well. I'll go back over it with a MIG. I'm not very good at TIG, so I'll go back over that. I think I'm gonna, so that's at 19.5. This is 20.5, or yeah, that's 19.5. This is 20.5. And so I'll lop it down that line, and I'm gonna try to figure out how I'm gonna fold it really good there. I'll probably put a straight edge on it and then a dolly and try and get it as good as I can. But the first thing to do is to lop off the bottom two sides, and then I might test fit it first, but we'll see. All right, so I've just shortened my lifespan by about 5 years, but it'll be all right. I broke this out of here, and there's not any structure right here. So what I should have done is I should have cut that whole bar out of the top of it, but this has kept structure in it, so it's a good idea to do anyways. I'm gonna lop it off, and I'm gonna put the other part of this bar in here to give it a bottom solid edge, and then that'll be pretty much it, except for folding the edges over. So let's get to cutting that. Okay, next day. So I measured it and I checked it, and it fits really good on the truck. As for this, I'm not sure if I want to leave this piece of angle here and then add two things to make the actual frame of it, or if I want to just do the one whole new thing. I'm thinking it's going to be a lot easier to leave this in. Yeah, I'm going to leave it in. There's no reason to take it out because it kind of makes the window frame right there. So now I'm going to be cutting some metal, some just square tube, and making the bottom and then folding the edges over. I should have left a little bit more meat on that, so if you're doing something like this, make sure you leave like that much, but it is what it is. I don't know if it'll come through, but look at the sky right now. All right, time to weld.
So yeah, I know this is like the worst way to weld, is basically just stacking tacks, but you can send the hate to my shitty ass shop teacher. He's mostly to blame for me having no TIG experience. And that shop teacher is not Mr. Jacobson. I kind of give most of like what I do with like welding and metalwork in credit to him, because he basically gave me free reign over his entire class, which was pretty cool of him.
Okay, so I welded in those pieces, and on this side I started folding it over, and these will be replaced with rivets, don't worry about that. But from the outside you would never know, because there's going to be a gasket right there, so you would never know that this thing's been chopped up and changed and stuff. The idea is once I'm done making the main frame around it, I'm going to cut out the surrounding portion and find a window. I got to find a window first, because I don't want to cut it and then spend forever trying to get a custom window. I'd rather just find a window than put it in. So I'm gonna get this side done and hang it on the truck, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so I've got it. I had to lift it up a little bit just for adjustments, but it fits real good. From the back, you wouldn't know. So I think what's gonna happen next is I have some more of this material right there from the cutoffs. So I'm gonna make a channel or a piece that goes from there all the way to there, and it'll have a seam there, but it'll be whatever. And eventually the top will be cut out all the way around. And this thing right here, it was never meant to be a tailgate because it just hangs right there. But I'll create some sort of hinge right there, and then this will be the new that'll be the new thing. But a little bit about the canopy. Got it East in Washington. It's short bed, fleet side, step side. Doesn't really matter with these. You just make brackets for it for a step side. It's got some old stickers. I cleaned this one up. Gem top right there. New glass in it. Guy fixed it up. Inside of it's been foamed. I don't know if it's original. I kind of hate it, but it is what it is. You know, it's got some character. I did a little bit of cleaning on it, and I was able to get some of the galvanizing to show back on it. I liked the gray, but it is all shitty anyways, so I think I'm just gonna kind of let it patina out a little bit. Up here on the top, we have what looks to be a CV antenna mount. Not entirely sure on that, but yeah, it fits the truck great. You can see it's got lots of space between the cabinet. I was really scared it was gonna be like right there and hit it, but it'll be fine. And on the inside, because I have to hold it up like that with these brackets, because I just have diamond plate right there, I'm gonna run a big bracket that goes from up to here over to here that's a little bit obtuse of a 90-degree angle, just to give it a little bit of flex so that it keeps it up. And yeah, I have the original tailgate or door right here to it. It used to be like a full width thing, and so I think I'm gonna take this latch. I have the keys to it, and I'm gonna try to put that onto the tailgate. And I also have some strut rods that I'm gonna try to mess with. So the next part I want to get to on this was the hinges, because I had an issue where I was just using the way it was to hang it as a hinge, and it kind of fell off when I was driving. So it's, oh well, not just a little bit of scratches. But I got some house hinges. They're just stainless house hinges, and I cut part of it off on this side of it as just followed where the holes were. And then what I did was I took them apart, and usually they'd be like this, and I flipped that like that to give me a little bit more space. You can see there. So these ones are super easy to just pop into place with a pin. And the same on the other side, the smaller pin. Get my hammer here. And we're back to new, but it's opposite. So it's super easy to take these hinges apart if you haven't done it. Just grab your vice grips and flip it. Sorry about that. And the other side. Should not be on the desk. And now you can see we have two hinges that are reversed. Okay, so another night, completely different. So I spent forever trying to figure out the hinges on this thing, and I ended up I got a set of these door hinges, and that's what I'm gonna use for the hinges for it. So I cut out these notches on each side right there. These are just temporary, they'll be gone. So right now that's how that is. And on this I ended up having to notch it out there and notch it out there, and I had to cut this lip off that it hangs on. I really didn't want to, but that's how it's gonna have to be. So you can't even tell that it's done from this side except for the notches, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so I ended up extending the hinges and giving it a little bit of meat on there just to make it a little bit bigger. Just extend it out a little bit. And I tested it and it's not quite enough, so I think I'm gonna stack one more piece on top of this, and then that'll give me what I need and I'll be able to mount it. Okay, so those are now in. I ran out of these rivets, so I tried to use some other ones we had, but they were too short and this one popped out. So I just replaced it with another one. They're not the same, but it'll be fine. Now, the next thing I'm working on, they're a little crooked, but they go back to being straight sometimes. So the next thing is latches. So I got these just draw pull latches, I don't know what they're called. I'm molding them to this plate, and then I'm gonna rivet the plate in 4 spots on there. And I'm gonna rivet, obviously, the receiving end of it to the tailgate, and that'll lock it up. Okay, I've got them both installed now. I just have these little C-clips. I might put padlocks on it for now, but I think I'm gonna see how long it goes before someone tries to fuck with it, and then I'll see if I put them on. But this side, I just kind of missed the angle iron behind it, but I put a washer behind, so it should be fairly strong. Yeah, so now this is actually part of the truck now. The supports are in and they're riveted in, and this is actually closed. So the next thing is going to be to put the door in. I already cut it down, so let's get another hinge mounted and we'll get the door put in. Okay, so now I'm working on the center door here. We've got those all set up. No, this one's pretty good. This one I missed the piece of angle iron here, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these off and do what I did here with the stainless piece there, just to make it match, and because I messed that up. But back here, the top hinge I left in place, and now I've got the bottom hinge here too. So I'm gonna get started on building the door to be able to actually cut the hinge, the handle section out of that one, and I'm laying it on this one, and I'm going to trace it out, drill the holes, and I should be able to mount this handle right in this door without really doing any modifications. Okay, here it is. I got the door on there. I've got it riveted on, and I siliconed this piece on for now. It's not the best, but I'll figure out how to do a little bit better job to make that look a little bit nicer. But for now, I've got a door on there that locks. Got the original keys to it. There's that. Inside, I'm gonna paint that black probably. But this has got a locking key. I still gotta put padlocks on these or get locking versions of these to make it like fully secure. But for now, no one can just like look in there and grab shit, because I live in the wonderful city of Seattle, hopefully not for much longer. But this, and down here you see this gap. I purposely made it have a little bit bigger of a gap so I can put a gasket in there, because I wanted to be able to open the tailgate without having to like open the top part. So yeah, this is the end of the canopy modification, I guess. So yeah, kind of anticlimactic, but that's what it looks like. So that's kind of the end of it, but not really, because basically the whole idea behind going and getting that was because I wanted to lock my shit down in the truck without it being broken into by some bum, and I wanted a place for my dog to be where she didn't, I mean, like, I had her in the back, but it's nicer to not have her in the cab with you. So it's all right, it's on there and it's pretty much locked for now. But I do have some problems with it, where whenever I go over a bump, I can hear it kind of lifting up and coming back down again, which is kind of sketchy. So what I did was, on the front, I put a second set of bolts on it, which made it a lot better. But I think on the back, the way I did those black just brackets that go up, those aren't going to be really sufficient. So I'm either going to have to weld the top of them and bolt the bottom of it to the diamond plate, or I'm going to have to do my original idea of having a bracket on the bedside
that goes up and over and then clamps onto it. I'll probably do the one on the bedside, but it's gonna be, it hasn't been a high priority right now. I've been dealing with things like making the carburetor not leak and making it so it doesn't leave a giant puddle of gear oil in the driveway. Oh, I put a new diff cover on it too. So, $150 diff cover fixes an oil leak. It's good enough for me.